never use a black tank rinse ever again. I'm going to show you a better way of cleaning your black tank. I have stopped using my black tank ever since I had a failure using a vehicle. It was a pre-owned. And if I would have had this tool, I would have had this problem solved in minutes, not hours like it took. By the way, I'll have the video down below on how to unclog an RV toilet when all you have is, you know, those sticks you use for making s'mores, roasting marshmallows. That is the only tool I had to unclog a black tank. And obviously it worked. However, it did not clean out the black tank, nor did the black tank rinse. So this is why I only use this tool. And the tool that I'm talking about is what we call the swivel stick. Now, it's important that you dress accordingly when you're going ahead and doing this job. This is a pretty crappy job, but somebody's got to do it. Something you've got to remember, because you're taking this in your camper, go ahead and turn it on. By the way, I would highly recommend that you add this piece right here to it, because it makes it a lot easier when you're attaching it to your hose. Once you attach this to your hose, you turn the hose on and you have this thing shut off. You want to make sure that you do not have it leaking either here or here before you take this in your camper. That would be a bad thing if that were to happen. So let's get this inside and show you how quickly this stuff works. Now, when you're bringing this in the camper, get yourself a couple rags and hold it here as you're coming in, because you're going to need these rags when you're taking it out as well. So bring those in with you. What we're going to do is, from that point, I would shut the water off on your camper, because you don't want the toilet flushing while you're doing this. Now, what we're going to do is, you're going to have some water in the toilet to begin with. We're going to go ahead and just drop this down inside, and it's going to go all the way down. Once we get it all in there, let me just explain a couple things to you. I always use the trash can from the toilet, from the bathroom, to hold this thing up. Keep in mind that you're doing this while the black tank is almost full or full. So just be aware of what's going on here. It's going to get a little stinky in here while you're doing this. Just understand that, but it'll dissipate rather quickly. The faster you work, the quicker it helps. So now, once we have it there, we're going to go ahead and turn it on. Now, I know that I still have plenty of time to get outside to get things done, but I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So I'm going to turn it on now, and now it's working. Now, while it's cleaning in there, make sure that it's not coming out. You shouldn't have a leak at this point, because you tested it outside. Plus, you came in, it wasn't leaking, so we shouldn't have an issue. You're able to, as you're rinsing this tank, we're able to go ahead and, at this point, go ahead and move it up and down if you wish. But let's get outside and start emptying that tank. Okay, so now you get outside, you go ahead and open it, and it's going to be dumping out. Now, we're going to let that thing sit in there for a while, even once it starts going a little clear. Now, after it goes clear a little bit, what we're going to do is we're going to close the valve and let the tank fill up, so that we can get it all nice and set up for you. Fill up that tank. The more water you rinse through there, the better off you're going to be. And I'll show you some things when I get in there. Now, at this point, you're going to want to have a flashlight so you're able to see down in there. You want one that go ahead and you can adjust it so it's just like a beam going down into the bottom of the toilet. You're going to be able to see what you're doing. What you're going to do is you're going to push and hold down on the flusher, turn your flashlight on, and now you can see the kind of mess that you've got. Sometimes you might get it to where the toilet paper will get caught up on that spinner. Not a big deal. You could alleviate that after a little bit. I'll just shut it off, shake it a little bit, and that takes care of it. But you want to go ahead and rinse it out the best you can, and then we're going to go ahead and close the tank. Now it's pretty well rinsed out, so I'm going to run outside, close the valve. We're going to let it fill up one time and see what we got. Okay, so we've got it closed, and now it's just a matter of, you can tell when it's getting closer to the top. I typically set it towards the top of the tube that's going down so that it's hitting the sidewalls, and you will hear it. You won't hear as much noise once it goes underwater. Then you know it's full. But this way here, you can at least check and see where things are. And it's looking much, much better. Obviously, the odor has dissipated because now we've cleaned most of that out, and now it's full of water. So let me go outside, dump it, and then we'll check and see if I'm going to rinse it one more time. So I was pretty pleased with how clear it was coming out. You can see a couple other things come out, some toilet paper and things. So now what I do is I just go ahead and check and see what it looks like down there before I decide to do anything. And I can see some corn kernels down there. But now I put it all the way at the bottom of the tank. You can kind of hear it hitting the tank. I'm going to pull it up just ever so slightly to get it off the bottom. There we go. But I still have it towards the bottom of the tank. It's still rinsing out. So I'm going to let this thing fill up one more time. I want to make sure I get those corn kernels out of there. And at that point, then I just go ahead and put a little bit of, I'll shut it, put a little bit of water in there. All I'm going to do is shut the valve, walk over to my water, shut the water off. By that time, that put enough water in the tank, so that way there all I had to do was chemical. So I'll be right back. Now something I'll do maybe for the last rinse, maybe to clean it out a little bit better, is I'll take some Fabulosis, dump it down there, or I can take some Lysol, spray it down in here, and what it's doing is it's going down the tube itself, and at least cleans it somewhat. And then I'll clean it when I get outside after I get all this mess cleaned up. Because as you can see, I'm not using gloves. That's up to you. You can feel like you use gloves. Of course, I wear my fancy clothes when I'm doing this. Make sure you get your fancy hat on as well. Now I had it towards the bottom, and I can hear now that the sprayer is underwater. So at that point, what it's doing now, it's going to be circulating that water, and that's what I want it to do for the last rinse. So if you do use Fabulosis, let me just give you a kind of heads up. That stuff will suds up, so you might want to rinse it a third time if in fact you do use the Fabulosis. So pretty much done here. Let me just fill it up. We're going to dump it and wrap it up. Now the one thing I forgot to mention earlier, so when you're ready, when you've rinsed it out as much as you want, shut the water off, make sure the tank's empty, check the level, make sure you got it where it's on, you're not showing anything in the tank. When you're there, then you're good. At that point, you can turn the water on a little bit, run some in, or when you come in here, you can put water down the tank, whatever works for you. Now this part as far as taking this thing out of here, what you're going to want to do, of course, I have the water off. You want to go ahead and shut this off here. The reason why you want that to shut off is because there's water that is still going to be coming out of the hose, and you don't want that spitting as you're pulling this thing up and as you're going out the door. I'm fortunate with this one because the door that I'm going out is right out here. I'm not having to transit all the way through the camper. But as I'd mentioned, I brought in, make sure you bring in a couple rags with you. I went ahead and sprayed that Lysol. So as I'm pulling this thing up, I'm going to wipe that down, and then I'm going to go ahead and cup this in order to get it out of here. So that's how simple it is. I'll tell you, try it if you haven't. If you're having issues with your black tank, this is a great way to resolve it. Hopefully you haven't let it get too bad for too long. You know, my camper is stationary, so this is something I do at least every other flush is when I'll use this. So let me know in the comments if this is something that helps you, or if there's something you feel that's not worth it. I mean, everybody has their own opinion, right? Chemical, I know that's a big thing, and that's up to you which chemical you want to use. If you want the more effective chemicals like Liquify, by the way, I'll have a link down below for that. Or You could use the less expensive ones. It all depends on how you do it. If you're mobile and you're pulling your camper, be sure to put some water in that tank, and a gray tank as well, while you're driving home, to let that tank stay wet and keep it clean. These tanks will dry out, and that's when you're going to have the issue. So thanks for watching, and I'll be back at you again with some more tips and tricks. Take care.